What's interesting about this position is we mentioned a typical day. Our days typically aren't typical because it's ever changing. Ultimately, every address, every case is going to be different. It just is. You may have a renter, you may have an owner, you may have something that's vacant. Sometimes the ordinance, you have to discern how you're going to handle a tree falling in someone's yard, then it falls into the neighbor's yard. Well, whose fault is it? Who needs to clean up the tree? Well, it's on both properties. So sometimes there's a lot of discernment that you have to make as well. That's the part of the position, again, that I enjoy, just determining how to handle certain, especially your more intricate cases. And there's always those cases you're going to have that's tucked into the woods that you didn't even know existed, and they've got a junkyard going on and we don't even know it was there. So all cases, whether it's just your simple tall weeds and grass to your neglected conditions where they have 28 cars on the property. There's varying degrees of complexity to it.
So we have an ordinance that's written, the city has written in, and there's certain specific things that would be considered a nuisance violation. So when it comes to bulky items out on the property, high weeds and grass, the litter, having rollout containers out on the street after day of pickup, these are things that are a small part of the bigger ordinance that's written under nuisance. Our job, again, is to go out there and enforce this stuff and make sure that people are abiding by this ordinance and making sure that the properties are clean and well maintained.
As soon as I arrive in the parking lot, because I always try to come here first, and I'll usually be sitting in the parking lot out front. But normally I will come in, I'll sit out in the parking lot, I will refresh my mobile app, I will start up my laptop, get all my things situated, everything I need to work, and the first thing I do is I look at my itinerary.
Basically, when I walk in, what I'm doing, one of the first things that I'm doing is I'm going straight to my itinerary. My itinerary is going to let me know any new cases that might have come in overnight. So those are the things that I have to take care of that's priority. Now, one of the things that's very helpful for us is the QC Code app. And I'm going to go into it now. So this app right here is a very good app. It gives us a map of the tax books that we handle. So the green dots, those are all my zoning cases that I have open. The red ones are the nuisance cases. So what I usually do when I come in, I usually go ahead and look to see where I'm at, that's the blue dot, and I work my way back. So my first case I'll probably hit will probably be up here. I'm gonna work my way from here, and I'm gonna circle around, come take care of the cases that are in the middle, then eventually make it back to the office.
For nuisance cases, I have my parking on the lawn information card, and these are final warnings. And then these are just nuisance ones that we put on there when we're doing a new complaint. And I have my building inspection tags as well as vehicle tags. So I try to keep everything in this little packet here so it's readily available to me. So I keep that back here.
From day to day, I'll work on however many cases that are in my itinerary that day. Now this case here, so I've read this, and this again going into what I try to do, try to get acclimated. I like to get an idea of what I'm walking into. The caller says that there's a Audi that's wrecked, black with no tag, whole front end wrecked. So they're saying that this is an abandoned vehicle. So at some point today, I'll go out to this property and try to locate this car to see if it is in fact abandoned, and I'll tag it as such. So I'm filling out the paperwork now. I'm going to place a sticker on the vehicle so if someone owns this car, they know to come remove it within the 7 days. They have a date on here, they have my name, my number to reach out to me to say, hey, this is or isn't abandoned, but it can't stay on the street like this. We do allow for, street parking, but we don't allow people to store vehicles on the street. So in this case, and it doesn't have a tag either, and it's wrecked. So it's definitely would be considered abandonment, and in this case, because it's wrecked, a hazard as well. And so what I'll do is I'll get the VIN number, and we'll run a plate to ensure, or run the VIN to see if we can get any information. I'll send the owner the yellow copy of this if I can, if any information comes back. Sometimes there's no information that comes back. I try to put it in a way that's very conspicuous to where folks can see it, whether they're coming or going. In this case, I want to make sure I can get the picture of the red sticker plus the damage to the front of the vehicle to illustrate the fact that I've listed it as a hazard. All right, and that's it. And what I'll do, whether I do it in the field or in the office, I'll input the data into the case of what we found.
For a zoning and nuisance inspector, for me, most of my stuff could be handled on the field, and this is my, this is my office. We have a cubicle, but basically, we walk, we're with our laptops, everything that we need could be done from here. This address right here has a lot of bulky items in the front. This is neglect right here. You see how you have garbage bags, you have some material, a pallet, you have all this stuff thrown out. So I'm gonna go ahead and write them up. So this here will be neglect the premise. It looks like there's a lot of trash and stuff on the property. And they also have a parking on the lawn issue. So we're gonna address the neglect the premise issue. I'm gonna go ahead and write them up for it. And I'm gonna go ahead and start the process. Now the process for me is pretty simple. It's just the same as the other ones. We're gonna go ahead, take our pictures. We're gonna go send them a notice of violation. We're gonna come back and re-inspect, and if they haven't cleaned it up, we'll try to make contact with them. If they still haven't cleaned it up, we'll go ahead and abate the property. Now, as you can see, we have a little vicious one at the door. So a lot of times when you have a dog like that, protecting his home sometimes it's good to just keep your distance. You don't want to get bit, safety first. You take your picture, you get in your truck, you write them up. You don't want to take the chance that the dog's aggressive. It doesn't matter if he's a small dog or a big dog. Safety first, always be safe. Sometimes people don't understand that going onto their property and telling them what to do with their property and what permits they have to get in order to do certain things on their property is the challenging part. Because a lot of people, and I'll be honest, before working for code enforcement, I wouldn't have understood that myself. I buy a property, I figure I can do whatever I want to do with the property. Well, yes and no. If you want to build this huge structure and have people living in it, well, you have to go through the proper channels and see if it's even allowed in that zoning designation. Because once you understand, and this is what I get from most people, anytime you educate somebody on something and they understand it, then they understand why I'm there.
What I'm going to do today is just put up my posting for an unsafe conditions, unsafe building. I had a referral from CMPD regarding a fire at this location. I've already conducted my inspection and ordered my title search for the property. The property is definitely very unsafe, so I'm going to be posting this on the property now to keep folks from injuring. So the property also had a lot of debris due to the fire, of course, and the owner has since picked up all the debris that was out here at the time of the initial inspection. So now my case, as far as the paperwork portion of it and the inspection portion of it is complete. So now we'll just wait for the owner to deal with her insurance companies and adjusters and to try and figure out what they're going to do with the property. Either they're going to demolish it or renovate it and bring it back up to code. We're at another housing case. I got two of my community policing officers. We have Officer Contreras here with me, and I also have Officer Castro. They are part of the community policing team in this area, and they assisted me with this particular housing case that was called in as a complaint due to a vacant house being occupied without authorization by squatters. So the city did receive that complaint. We came in with the assistance of CMPD. We completed the inspection in the interior as well as the exterior. The case was opened. We did get in touch with the owner. They are actively or were actively making renovations when we first took the case. They are on a time limit. They do have 60 days. I did provide an extension, so I gave them another 30 days to show improvement of the renovations in the property. At that time, then I'll come back out, do another inspection, and see where they are with repairs and bringing the property up to code. The property is secured, it's boarded up to prevent any more squatters from entering the structure. So the case is still active until all the renovations are completed and all the permits are closed and everything passes and meets code. Then at that time it'll be closed. But right now the case is still active with the city of Charlotte. So that's where we are with this particular case.
I pride myself on the human aspect of things, as far as I'm going to use a home that looks neglected, and I've gone into properties before for a nuisance complaint, and I've literally thought the place was abandoned. And I go to the property and I leave my door hanger, I leave the information, I take pictures of all the dilapidated conditions of the grounds. And I get a phone call and they explain to me, they ask, well, what's wrong with my property? And I explain to them. And I'll also say, well, is everything okay? Because when I came to your property, I thought that it was abandoned. That's how bad it is, So I'll ask this person, are you okay? Do you need help? Because we do have city resources that can go out and help folks that are in need, right? So community engagement, we try to get them in touch with folks who maybe they need some help with their landscaping. Maybe they need a new roof. We do have resources for those folks. So not only, and again, I can't speak for all inspectors, but when I go out and I see something like that, I think, goodness, there's got to be something else going on. So I really try to use that human aspect, that reaching out to someone to say, are you okay? Because we all go through difficult times, right? So, we want to make things better. We want to, improve the city. We want the city to look nice when folks from out of town come see it. We want to keep our city vibrant and growing and educating folks.
I think that this job is amazing. I think that, let me rephrase. I know the job is amazing. Because you get a fulfillment from the job. It's one of those jobs that you can see something where you started at A and it ends at Z, and you saw the process go through. And when it gets to Z, where you're finally closing a case, you feel fulfilled, and you did a great justice to the community. Now the community is looking better. You could take pride and say, I did that, and the community is very appreciative of the job that you did. So if you want to feel fulfilled, you want to work with a great team, you want to work with great management, this is the place.